Welcome to the Kentucky X-Files, Season 2, with your hosts Dennis Mays, Tyler Stewart, and Josh Gibbs. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. Now, on to our show.
Towards me, just crouched down. For me, at first, I thought it was just a footage thing.
I thought it was a bear. You can tell the difference between a small or spindly-legged creature and something with a larger foot. And it was big, whatever it was. It ran straight down at us and just stopped. It was pitch black. Couldn't see it.
And most of these witnesses that have come close to these things could have been killed.
It was beating on the side of the house. I guess it hit the side of the house as it went by.
Now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was gone.
Like I needed someone to have pure faith in a higher power at that moment, and nobody fucking did.
Welcome back, guys, to the Kentucky X-Files. It's the bird strike.
That's for you guys out there listening. Josh is fixing the show so nothing bad happens this week. So he's got some bolts and nuts there.
I'm gonna dive again, like air ratchets.
There's some duct tape there. It sounds like. How's it going over there, Josh? I mean,
Everything that's supposed to move is moving, and everything that shouldn't move isn't. So
fantastic.
Is the flux capacitor fluxing?
It is. It's fluxing beautifully.
Outstanding.
So
there's no way for the show to be messed up this week.
No, not a chance.
Great. Fantastic. You just hear something breaking in the background.
Right.
That's not important. That's extra parts.
Yeah, it's extra part.
That's all extra stuff they sent with the show. You listeners out there, though, I just want to say I'm really, really sorry about that Thursday. Just feel real bad about it, you know. I don't know what to say, but it looks like it's a problem in the past because Tyler here, he went on a little thing and went ahead and upgraded our studio setup pretty big. We're hoping that solves it. I don't know. I think it will. So.
I think for the most part it will help us just make everything a lot easier to keep track of, and it will make it easier for phone-in guests. I know, I feel like our listeners are so, nice and stuff, and they never really say anything, but we do tend to have some little feedback because of how our setup is when we have a phone-in guest.
Yeah.
But no one, it's subtle, but after you're actually recording it, it's there. You're picking it out and shit. So right. I feel like this will help stuff like that out.
Hopefully, just the overall quality just keeps going up.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
Right, that's gonna be great.
So, speaking of some of our guests and such, I was flipping around on our Facebook, and we keep getting just loaded. Just loaded down. People are sending in their encounters, they're sending in their opinions, which is much appreciated. okay? And I've been sitting on it for a little bit, but so this
I tried.
lady, right? So this lady Tina, she wrote this encounter, and I've reread it. I read it once, and I don't know. I want to read it to you guys and see what you guys think of this. Okay. She says, somewhere in the 1980s, they had, where she lived, there was all these families with young kids, and all various ages. She said that they had this spot. It says here that there was one spot where the family, the dad had passed away, something to do with the coal mines, and the mother was still there, still alive, and doing the best she could with her two boys. And there was these two ponds somewhere around their area or whatever, and they said they came running back, and they said there was a giant dog with hair all over it, and he's in the biggest mud hole they'd ever seen. And of course the mud hole was the pond. It says here that as soon as one of the boys, I guess Billy, heard him, he shot up that hill behind the house like a bolt of lightning. And Tommy, the other boy, was waiting for him at the top, and he told him to be quiet. There's a giant dog in the pond. And they'd never seen anything bigger than a chihuahua at this point. So he ran over to the edge of the water. It says here, as soon as the dog came up out of the water, he spotted him. Said it came so fast, it's nothing you've ever seen. It definitely wasn't a dog, and it wasn't a Bigfoot. Although it was on two legs, and when it came out of the water, it made eye contact with Tommy for like a second, then poof, Bill was gone. And so was the giant dog. The lady said, because I asked her, I was like, well, that's really interesting. What do you think it was? She said she didn't know. It was some kind of big hairy-ass lizard. As soon as it dove back into the deep with Bill, in a blink of an eye, it surfaces, comes to the water's edge, and it takes Tommy with the same speed. Both boys gone. What do you guys think of that?
Where was this?
It says here.
I knew it said the coal mine, so is it in Kentucky?
Yeah, it says here. Hang on, Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Eastern Kentucky. So
that's all she got was Eastern Kentucky here.
Okay.
Pretty wild though, huh?
Hairy lizard.
All right.
Hairy lizard?
Right. It's I've never heard anything like it. That's the reason why I wanted to get it on here, because I've never heard anything like that before. And then it took two kids. That's pretty wild. You know what I mean?
Did she say what time frame this was? Like when this happened?
In the 80s.
Oh, in the 80s. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. In the 80s, yeah. Pretty wild.
I mean, this sounds like a plot for a movie almost.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Pretty crazy, man.
Lizard.
I'd never heard anything like it before.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
That's why I was like, well, maybe we should get this out there and see if anybody else has, get some more input. Then we got another one from a fan of the show named Sean, who wrote in asking a question first. He said, have you ever heard of the flukeman of Allen/Martin? Tall, pale, skinny humanoid. I responded that I'd never heard of that one before, and I said, what's the story on it? He says, lives in Gas Fork and Allen. Around the early 2000s, me and my brother and girlfriend at the time all seen this tall, pale man standing off in the hills. I was the first to get a really good look at, because this holler one had one working street light at the time, and the closest thing in the real world I know about what it looked like was something I saw was the Fluke Man from the X-Files. I remember the Fluke from X-Files. During that time, there were a lot of dogs up there, and we would hear them barking and fighting all night long. We never thought anything about it because dogs are going to dog. But after we started seeing Fluke Man, we always went out and looked when we heard them, just to check. my brother was with some. My brother was friends with some people up the road from our house, and they told him that they'd seen it too, without him saying anything to them about what we had seen. Uh, I would have friends come up and stay with me, and the way we had this place set up was that I lived in a building about 15 feet from my parents' house, but we had to walk inside to use the bathroom, and two of my friends told me about seeing someone up in the woods. One of my friends told his brothers, and they all three wanted to come and try and stay to try to see him too. They all claimed to have seen him. One night, I hear the dogs going nuts outside like a big fight, and when I opened my door, I got to see this thing better than I ever had before. He was hunched over and he was fighting the dogs. Three of the dogs were biting at one side and the other one was thrown through the air. I screamed at it and turned to tell my girlfriend to come look, and he and the dogs all run for the hills. My mom put in motion sensor lights on the back porch and we've never seen him again. Years later, my girlfriend is now my wife, and we moved from Allen to Prestonburg. We were talking with a neighbor, and he wanted to tell us a crazy story about this giant white thing that started attacking his dad's farm animals near Martin. What he described sounded just like our flukeman. He said his dad also put up motion sensor lights and barbed wire. He said after the lights went up, they never saw him again. The flukeman from the X-Files was the closest thing I'd ever seen that looked like what we saw, until that image of the rake came out. I know that this thing is fake or whatever, but it looks just like our fluke man. And that's my story. I could give you some names of people if you want to check with them to see what they remember. I actually asked him if he wanted to, come on the show, and he gave me personal reasons why he probably wouldn't. But I've been keeping up with him since, and I think he might come around to being on the show eventually, to take us through it, you know what I mean? But yeah, what do you guys think of that? The tall fluke man.
That's pretty wild, man. Yeah, I had to look up the X-Files fluke man, and man, that thing is disgusting.
Yeah,
it's like a suckerfish and a mummy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the first episodes?
I think so. It was one of the first.
It was in the
creature.
sewer system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it's like a freaking a giant leech.
Yeah. It definitely definitely crazy.
Like,
I mean, I've seen the pictures of the rake floating around for years, and I always kind of chalk the rake up to just being a, creepypasta kind of deal. But it is funny that more and more people have come forward saying that they've seen something very, very similar to that.
But the rake is depicted as a kind of like a Smeagol kind of thing. Very skinny, lanky, pale white body. I know that they say that it has reflective eyes. So yeah.
All right. I don't know. Interesting though. Anybody out there listening, if you've ever heard of this or want to chime in, tell us what you think, or
Luke man,
tell us your, encounter. Love to hear it. I actually heard one of these, which was really surprising. It came up on the Facts by How to Hunt.
Yeah.
Where someone sent in a random encounter and they talked about it, and it was actually funny watching Steve react to it, because he basically straight up said, like, yeah, I'm shooting first. He's like, it's the same. I mean, it's the same stance he took on the dog man. He's like, I've never seen one, but if I do, I can promise you I'm shooting first. He's like, anything tall and big like that with, claws, fangs, eyes facing forward, he's like, it's not looking at you because it wants to be friends.
That's a solid assessment, yeah.
He's like, so, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, The other thing that I had pulled up here, which this is a small example of a very big response to the episode about the blood auctions, or the human trafficking blood auctions topic from a couple episodes back. A guy writes in saying he just listened to the lady that was taken to the cave. I know this area, and me and a few friends are wanting to investigate this. I am a believer, and I have questioned things in Somerset since the early 90s. And that is he sent over a news report which says this is from 2022, October 9th. Commonwealth Journal says second set of bone fragments may remain a mystery. Says here, the mystery behind 21-year-old Jeffrey Kevin Price's disappearance and the subsequent discovery of his remains continues to be investigated. But the questions surrounding the discovery of what may be another individual at the same site won't be solved anytime soon. It says, there's only one case we're opening up until there's enough evidence to open up a second case, says Pulaski County Coroner Richard New. Price's burned body was found last Saturday, November 28th, in a remote area off of Strawberry Road in eastern Pulaski County. The Science Hill man had been missing since November 9th when he left work, and his burnt truck was found the same night. The mystery deepened when on Tuesday investigators found evidence of duplication of skeletal elements. In other words, there were 2 left elbow bones found, according to Dr. Emily Craig, forensic anthropologist with the State Medical Examiner's Office. That discovery was made as investigators combed Price's remains for clues into what may have happened to him. This is a long article, which I will share to our Facebook page for anybody that wants to read it. I will do so right now. But this is a small example. The emails are blowing up with this stuff. You know what I mean? If we needed any more cooperation, I think we have it. We know something messed up's going on down there.
Yeah. I mean, they mentioned the exact same road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But I definitely I reached out to Amber from the show, and I showed her screenshots of all the people who were, basically standing with her, standing in support, you know what I mean? And people who want to go out and investigate it themselves and bring, more attention to it. And she was really appreciative. I told her, I was like, now we're an army. We may not be able to directly go and put a stop to it, right? But at the very least, we can make their safety net smaller. That's
Right.
That's all we can really do. We can just keep putting the pressure on, keep bringing it to light. I've definitely been seeing all of the. I keep seeing all the signs everywhere. All over the place. If you suspect this, if you suspect that, if something looks, suspicious, report it, etc., so forth. And I thought, well, hell, our little show, we just, it was like 1,009 people downloaded that show.
Yeah. No thanks to YouTube, by the way.
No thanks to YouTube.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and thank YouTube for putting a major squelch filter on that episode because of the nature of it.
Well, it's a good example of they saw the title and they nixed it. For those of you guys out there that don't know how this works, if a platform like YouTube sees any keywords that they don't like, they basically can demonetize it and cut the reach of the video down big time.
Right.
So,
and it's not even like a small fractional amount. We went from 1,600 viewers on a video average to 33.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally choked the life out of the show on YouTube.
Absolutely.
It's absurd.
And then I appealed it. And in my appeal, I wrote, I'm like, if you actually listen to this, you would realize that we're helping to bring awareness to this. You know what I mean? No, we're not doing this because we support it. I don't know what the hell it is that you guys think we're doing, but then I took a jab about the other episode with the virus that should not be named.
Yeah.
And
not.
I told him, I'm like, if you listen to that one, we weren't spreading misinformation. I was literally saying, not everything's a conspiracy, folks. Sometimes
that's literally
shit just
the
goes.
Title.
Yeah. Sometimes shit just goes wrong. Sometimes shit just gets messed up. And during a time when we were operating on skeleton crews, I can imagine shit getting messed up a lot. And I told him that. I was like, whatever you think we're doing, if you actually listen to the context, you'll see that, your interpretation is way off. And like 2 days later, they reinstated the video after it had already been neutered.
Right.
So it is what it is, I don't know. This is the world we live in.
It's messed up, man. You're getting censored, without somebody actually doing the homework to decide whether or not you need to be censored.
Yeah.
Your subject matter, pro or against, doesn't matter. Censors you.
Yeah, we've said this before. Like even like some people out there that doesn't believe in the stuff that we talk about. I've said the same example before on the show is that we had a person that commented on us, said that they watched part of the video and they were like, well, they didn't say that they watched part of the video. I put up a video. It was between me and Denny at the time, and I put up a video showing how a gorilla was throwing something. I don't know if it was a rock or anything, but we were watching another video that they were saying that this Bigfoot threw a rock at them, and it was like a bowling-sized ball, like rock. And he's like, dude, that's fake. That's a gorilla. And then not even probably like an hour later, the guy apologized. He's like, oh, you were using that as a reference. Okay, sorry. So, see, it just takes time. Just listen to the video. Don't just go off of what you're saying. Even my thumbnails that I make. Not everything's a conspiracy. Did we say that Alex Jones was a lizard man at all? I just thought it was funny. And I put it up there. Don't just look at the thumbnail and all these guys are talking about Alex Jones being a lizard man. It's just so frustrating that even a platform.
And that's funny because YouTube absolutely does not support Alex Jones, not in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. They were like, "Oh God, there's that Alex Jones guy."
Right.
Yeah.
These guys are probably supporting him. They're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, they're turning the frogs gay.
Look, man,
Pizzagate.
Hey, you know what, guys? I'll go on the record and say that I don't care who a frog falls in love with as long as they're happy and living their life.
That's true.
Right.
I don't care. It just doesn't. That's not something that's important to me.
Well, if you go the route of what Dr. Grant said, that there's sometimes there's some African frogs that will turn a sex from one sex to another in a single sex environment.
That's true.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Frogs.
That was off of Jurassic Park. If anybody doesn't know that, but
I was going to say we're going to quote his name as being Dr. Grant. I love that.
Yeah. Dr. Grant.
He's always Dr. Grant.
I think it's funny that they literally put in with the T-Rex, not being able to see if you don't move, and if you were actually back in time and confronted with a T-Rex and you didn't move, all you're doing is making his meal easier.
Yeah,
yeah,
because his eyes were really good and he could see you just fine whether you moved or not.
Yeah.
The one thing I never understood is why do all dinosaur movies portray the T-Rex as not having lips?
Oh yeah. Did they have lips?
Because
No, they had to have. I mean, what animal out there has all of their teeth exposed 100% of the time?
Well, it doesn't like the way that it didn't show it all the time. It was like it had an overbite more. It was like its mouth was closed, but his
I wonder if it was like
top jaw
crocodile. You know how crocodiles kind of like like they don't
It
really
shows
have a
its teeth,
lip, but it's like
Yeah.
it still kind of covers their teeth though when it closes its mouth
Right.
a little bit.
but you can still see the sides of them.
Yeah, because that's badass.
Yeah, that's badass. Like you just know, like, hey, don't fuck with me.
Yeah,
Unless you're
if you're a crocodile and
Irwin.
you're sitting there with you got all these teeth, it's like you want them to be seen a little bit.
Mhm.
You know, and then there's those little birds. Nobody ever gives them any credit. The little tiny birds that like get in the crocodile's mouth and like get out all that stuff. Floss birds.
Yeah, right.
Those birds are balls out.
Dude,
Yeah.
can you, I mean, like, I get it now that they've been doing it for millennia, but can you imagine the first time the first bird did that?
Dude, you know how hungry he had to be?
Right.
He had to be starving, and he's looking around, and he's like, there's like a piece of meat just chilling in that crocodile's mouth, and he's like, oh God, I'm so freaking starving. I'm so hungry that if I get eaten, it's whatever.
Right.
And then as he was doing it, the croc probably was like, I'm gonna eat this goddamn bird. But then he was like, oh man, that was actually pretty nice. I think we got a working relationship here, bird. Dude, that's amazing. But like nobody gives credit to how badass that bird is. That bird, that should be the like this, what do you call it? The emblem, like like the bald eagle.
Yeah.
It should be that badass bird that goes into the mouth of a crocodile to get itself a bite. It's awesome. It's like going into KFC. You don't know if you're going to get food poisoning. You just know the chicken's good. You know what I mean? Salmonella be damned. I'm getting me a bucket.
Right.
That's I'm just saying. It's like, you got to be in that mind state to get in there and get in, get some of that. So, yeah. Hey, real quick before I forget, I want to give a shout out to a couple to a couple of listeners.
Following the Solomon. I can't say it. I made a joke, but I failed.
A couple of new listeners to the show. Austin and Haley, congratulations on your engagement, and we're glad to have you listening. Turns out they're kind of they're kind of into this stuff. They're into the unknowns a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's awesome.
So,
Hey,
very cool.
I wish we had it right now, but hey, the new setup that we're getting, it has little like little pads, so we can actually like things like this. We could like do 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 do. We can have like an air horn now.
Oh yeah,
like things like these.
Right.
I'm just gonna do it like I normally do. Like Austin and Haley.
Right.
But it's gonna sound better later. Sorry, we're still low budget.
I don't know. The fluke guy and the rig just seems two different things to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It really does. Like I can't get over this. I get the idea. Like it's super tall and it's pale, and it's like skinny, right? So it's like, it's like it reminds you of the rake. But like he said earlier, it's like the rake is like this little, like golem looking thing, just crawling around. And this is like this reminds me of like what was it called? The Slender Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's creepypasta stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Slender Man. It's this tall, pale creature. And you remember back a little bit ago. Remember when Lee was talking about the pale thing crawling across the street or something?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. It's like, is it a Bigfoot? What is it?
Is it a hairless Bigfoot?
Is it a
Or
hairless-
or Candace's daughter?
Right.
Yeah, Candace's daughter.
Jeez.
She saw something like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was in the trees.
See, that's just not right. You know what I mean?
With it being in the trees?
Yeah. Like, well, it was like a whiles back. I remember hearing this encounter where somebody said that they were like, the dude looked up and saw a Sasquatch going from tree to tree.
I think, yeah.
And it was like chasing him, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, that's not
Yeah.
fair at all.
Right. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I
like,
would
not,
assume that we were.
Yeah. It's not fair, though. Like, that's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's like, okay, it's big. It could kill you pretty easy. And now it's in the trees. It's like all the shit that we're not good at.
Right.
It's not right, man. You know, I was just thinking about how easy it would be, too, because I watched this YouTube video where this guy was in his tree stand hunting, right? And a freaking bear just climbs up the tree and is just, like, staring at him. I mean, he's, like,
Hey,
face to
what's up,
face.
dude?
Yeah. And this dude's got, like, a bow and arrow and shit, and it's like, this bear's, like, face to face with him. I'm like, that's not right, man. That's not fair. That bear totally just spun everything on him. Like, all right. Try shooting me now, you son of a bitch. Just imagine like being out there in a Bigfoot or one of these like slender rakes.
Slender rakes.
Crawling up the tree at you, you know?
Slender rake.
Slender rake. Yeah, I don't know. I know. Was it like not last week, the week before last? I was riding around with a guy who's like super into hunting, you know, like big time, and he'd heard about the show, you know, and we were talking a little bit, and he's like, you know, I've been hunting a lot. He's like, and some of these places I go to they're so remote that I can get behind it. I could say, yeah, dude, some of this stuff's probably out there, you know. And I started to bring up the knot deer.
Oh.
And when I brought up the knot deer, you could tell that was like that topic in particular was like he was not a fan.
Nuh-uh.
He's like, I don't like that idea.
Yeah, that's I mean, that is just as disturbing as it gets because, you know, like you were talking before, how if something's got forward-facing eyes and sharp teeth, it's not looking at you for funsies, you know?
Right.
So all bets are off with a creature like the knot deer.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you tell him he knows your name, too?
I told him that it would probably ask him, where's Tyler?
Oh. It only knows my name. Why does it only know my name?
I don't know why the knot deer are like so, like they want to know where you're at all times. I don't know why.
I don't like this knot deer.
I just think like, what if there was? Remember we talked about like, what if there was not other animals?
Yeah,
or
like
other
the
not animals?
the nostrich.
Nostrich.
The nostrich is my favorite.
The knot giraffe.
Yeah.
The knot lion. So I think a knot lion would be bullshit because it doesn't need to be that.
Yeah.
It's like you're already a lion.
Yeah,
You know?
it would have to be a prey animal that's the knot that would make it extra terrifying.
Yeah. Could you imagine like going out there and there's like a knot squirrel and it just walks up to you and it's like, ugh.
Tyler,
how you doing? You're like, oh my God, what is with all these knot animals?
Or the knot skunk. I think that would be the worst one.
Oh, dude.
that lives by you.
That would be, the knot skunk would definitely be something that would take me out.
Right.
Because I have like a legit skunk that's, I'm pretty sure, is trying to take me out. He's out here. He knows.
Plotting.
Yeah. He was, last night, we could smell him. We were like, he's here.
I thought you were about to say you tussled.
No. He's got my number pulled. Like he knows I'm a huge bitch. Like you're not gonna fuck with him. I'm not gonna mess with him at all. Yeah. You can tell too by the way he like walks away. Like he's completely like knows that I'm not gonna do anything. He just walks off real slow, like turns and looks at me like, yeah.
So I was just looking at not deer stuff, and I want you to take a look at the picture of this deer I just sent to the Discord.
Yeah,
Look at
dude.
the angry eyebrows on this thing. It's not even a not deer. It's just a non-native deer to the United States. It looks so
That's
it's upset with us. You know,
It's like piercing into my soul. I
dude,
think it
yeah.
actually is saying Tyler in its head.
it looks like it's judging you.
Tyler. Yeah, it does.
He's like, I'll get you, Tyler.
I get you, Tyler.
Yeah. Look at it. His tail kind of looks like a skunk too. So,
Right.
just saying. And what if a knot creature was like halfway turning from one thing to another? You know what I mean? Like, what if it was like, it's like part, deer, and then it's like part dog or something because it didn't finish. It was like, because it's just, that's all I'm getting out of the knot deers is that they're kind of lazy.
Right.
Like they don't finish what they start. They're like, I'm gonna be a deer and I'm gonna scare people. Then it gets like halfway and it's like, it's good enough. They're never gonna notice. But it's like we're noticing. You are not a deer, sir. I don't know. This stuff. Some of these creatures, man, I swear, it's like I want them to be made up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I can think of a few offhand. We know how I feel about the dog man, but stuff like the knot deer, I don't think that's not right. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be allowed. All right, that the mound crawler things. You know what I'm talking about? It's basically like a rake that lives on Indian burial grounds. The mounds or whatever, mound walkers. I don't want that to be real.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
And then the Wendigo. The Ford Wendigo. I don't think that should be allowed. This that's too much. Just too much. You say Bigfoot? Yeah, man, I'm in. I can get behind it. Cuz there's no guarantee Bigfoot's going to beat the shit out of you and kill you. I mean, it's speculation. We don't know.
He might be a nice guy.
Yeah, he might be a nice Bigfoot. He might be like, "Hey, man, I'm just passing through, bro. Don't
Word.
mind me." Yeah, word up. And then he like leaves, and you're like, "Man, I saw Bigfoot," and then nobody believes you, but you didn't get eaten. Then you got stuff like the dog man that's like, "Ha! I'm gonna bite you and kill you." Is that a camera? Poof. He's gone. He's gone. So you're good. You're safe, But then you got like the knot deer. What do you even do with that? I'm just saying that stuff like that creeps me out. Something that like mimics its prey. No good.
Yeah.
No
That's
good.
No good.
Like baby crying.
Yeah, baby
Yeah.
crying in the woods.
We've been through that one over and over, dude. It's not working.
I'm
It's not
going
gonna
out
work, dude. If I'm sitting here, man, and I hear babies crying in the middle of the woods, dude, I'm freaking locking my door and going to bed. Nope. Not happening. Not into it.
Right.
Something's afoot.
Yeah, that's just not right. So yeah, man, it was pretty interesting weekend last weekend. Me and Tyler crashed the Bigfoot conference over in Boone County. I mentioned a little bit about it on the Thursday episode, but I wanted to hear what was your thoughts on that conference. How did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it a lot. Like, it was very interactive. I loved hearing what they had, like all their audio and stuff that they had. It was very hearing their reactions like right off the beat. Like, it was really. I enjoyed it. I was so excited about how many people were out there supporting it. Like, they're like, I was like, man, there's so many people here.
I was shocked.
Yeah, like, I'm just like keep thinking. I was like, I'm glad that we're getting out there. We're all wanting to find answers. Because before getting into this, I always assumed that a lot of people were still pretty skeptical about the topic
Yeah.
of Bigfoot. So it was nice to see people out there wanting to share their experiences and hear what the Ohio Night Stalkers had to say.
Super nice guys too.
Yeah, they're very nice.
I enjoyed getting to bullshit with them for a little bit. It was pretty awesome. I will say that it is funny that they are the Ohio Night Stalkers. They named theirs after their state and a show they liked.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then we were visiting as the Kentucky X-Files.
Right.
And it was like, wow, this is this is kind of awkward, but it's kind of cool too.
Yep.
Like, okay, you guys went that route too, huh? That's awesome. I thought it was pretty badass.
That is cool.
Pretty badass. It was really cool. I liked the camaraderie in the room. That was something that I really, really thought was neat. And if any of them Ohio Night Stalker guys are listening, I apologize for bringing up Todd Standing, but I wanted to know their opinion. I wanted to know what they thought. Because that was a question that I honestly will probably ask any Bigfoot researcher that we talk to is what do they feel about Todd Standing's assessment of a breeding population of Sasquatch 40,000 strong. I don't personally think it's possible. And
is that a qualifying question? Is the answer to that question to determine how you
honestly,
feel about their opinion on everything after that?
Not really. It's more like I genuinely just want to know, like, hey, what's your, you know what I mean? What's your opinion on this? Do you think there's this many? Because I personally don't think that's possible. I just like the size and the speed and everything about them. Just to me, just dictates that there's going to be a smaller population if there is one, right?
And plus that would go to the whole fact of and they say they don't. A lot of people say they don't migrate or anything of that nature. They stay in one spot, and if there's that many,
yeah,
I feel like you would see them constantly if they stayed in one spot.
That's kind of what I was thinking was if they don't migrate, then we have no excuse not to have more pictures.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just how I feel about it, and it seemed like them guys took kind of a similar stance, They had a hard time accepting almost anything that Todd Standing has put out. And I get that. I totally get that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I really did enjoy it. It was neat to hear from some people about stuff that had happened to them, and just to see that there's a room full of people that are willing to hear each other, to listen. And I thought that was really cool. And some of the audio recordings that those guys actually showed were pretty impressive, I thought.
Oh yeah.
And
I like that they actually had a I don't know what it's actually called, what the actual profession is called, but they actually had a guy that I think they said he used to work in I want to say some kind of government agency, like FBI or something like that. He analyzed audio files and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And he said, they said, you straight up have something, yeah, you definitely have other animals in this recording, but there's the one main sound and that they've gotten was they said it was unknown. There was nothing that they can't say that it was Bigfoot or anything, but it was unknown. It was the frequency was different from any animal that they've ever recorded.
Yeah, and he said too. He's like, if we don't have it cataloged, we can't compare to it.
Yeah,
it's the same problem they have with the DNA thing. That's what I was trying to find before we started this today. Was I saw a video where they were talking about hair samples and DNA samples that they found that, you know, there's some parts of the DNA that are similar to people. So as soon as they see that, they're like, oh, it's a human. This is a human being, you know. But then some parts of the genome are different. It's like more closely related to like one of the great apes or whatnot. And in the end, some of the people that this is their field literally said, they're like, you know, the reason we say we need a body is because we don't have Sasquatch DNA to compare this stuff to. So we can't.
Right. How could you make a comparison without something to compare it to?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is we're like, you can get hair samples and you can get blood samples, but we don't have a database of it. So all you're going to be collecting is unknown primate or unknown species with no way to, you know, to catalog it. So very frustrating. It's a very frustrating scenario for them guys that are out there doing that, you know, at least trying. But I don't know. You know, it's pretty damn interesting. The whole conference I thought was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it lasted long enough though.
Yeah,
it was over too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for sure, like if people out like listeners, like just like one of our listeners, he said that, like, he told us about this event and stuff. Like, if you guys have any other events that you would want us to check out and go see if we can talk to some people and
absolutely
all that,
I'd love to
just send them over. Kind of keep it in the realm of Northern Kentucky area, because we do have full-time jobs, so we could make towards like Lexington maybe, but I'm not saying that that's 100% for us, but that would have to be something that has to
it's got to be something
out.
awesome. It's got to be mind-blowing. They better have Sasquatch down there. Yeah, man. You guys think we should let them have their day? I think we've kept them long enough.
Absolutely.
You guys out there, appreciate everything, all the downloads. I'm sorry for the mess ups. Hopefully we'll be on top of that and stop that from happening. Give or take a little bit of a cushion to learn how to use the new setup, but you know what I mean. But lots of new guests lined up. I know some of them are probably getting impatient. They want to talk to us, and we want to talk to them, but we're working on it. You know, we're out in the woods, man, so we don't always have good reception out here.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know. So yeah, anybody out there waiting for us to get back to you, we will not forget you, don't worry. Just be patient, and hell yeah, I'll see you on the next one. You guys take care of each other.
See ya.